Hey everybody, Questwise here, back again. Want to say hello to everybody. I know it's been quite a while since I've done a a serious amount of videos, a serious amount of content for the channel. But I'm still here, still working on a few projects. I have a new career, so that's been taking up a lot of my time. I also have a career now that I can spend more time with my family. That's a good thing. So if you've been wondering where I'm at, that's where I've been. Today I wanted to touch on a video going back to some of my roots a little bit. And it's only because I'm looking, I want to share with you an alternative to some of the other games that are out there on the market, tabletop role-playing games, specifically Dungeons and Dragons. I love Dungeons and Dragons. If you've watched my channel at all, you know that I'm a diehard fan of Dungeons and Dragons, but the current products that are coming out from Wizards of the Coast have not excited me. Not that the writing is bad, not that the quality of the product is bad. It's not the content, really, that's so much that's sort of pushing me away. It's just the lightheartedness of the recent products that have come out. The sort of focus on things being a lot more of a lighthearted fantasy and cuter fantasy, which is just not my gig. So nothing against Wizards of the Coast, nothing against the quality of the content they're putting out. The writing is still fantastic, and I still am in awe of the content that they're putting out. It's just not a focus that I enjoy at this particular point. Now, I know I've said this in the past. Role-playing games are what you make them. And that's very, very true. But I've been recently sort of shifting my focus back to a game or a series of games, a company, which I really, really enjoy. And if you've watched the channel for any amount of time, you're not going to be surprised by this at all. But today I want to talk about, if you're in the same boat that I am, if you're in the same sort of like, I want something new, I want something different, I want to explore other stuff out there, I want to give you sort of a little intro into the world of Palladium Books. Yes, Palladium Books is still out there. They're still going strong. You just don't hear about them much anymore because of the overshadowing of things like Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition or Pathfinder. Some of these other games and again, nothing against those games, those game companies, great stuff. They're putting out some very quality products. And obviously there are a billion people out there who really enjoy their stuff. And I do too. But if you're looking for something a little different, if you're looking for a different direction to take, or you just want something really bizarre, I'm going to show you entries into the Palladium Books line. Core books that you can grab and what they can do for you based upon what you're looking for. First off, the granddaddy of them all, the game that really sort of put Palladium Books on the market, and that is Riffs. Riffs is an amazing game. It is basically the kitchen sink of role-playing games, but coherently tied together. So Riffs is set in the future. This cataclysm has happened. Wars took place, and life as we know it has shifted. It has completely changed. Magic is a thing now. Psionics are a thing now. Technology is still there. High technology. The melding of technology and magic together is there. This is a game that does it all. If you want something that's science fiction but has magic involved, Riffs is for you. If you want some high intrigue, political scandal type things with superhero aspects involved, Riffs is your game. So Riffs is the granddaddy of them all. This is, like I said, this is the game that really launched Palladium Books to stardom in its day. Still an amazing game, still one of my favorites, one of my go-tos. But my all-time favorite game. Now, here's the other thing too. All of Palladium Book stuff is interchangeable. Everything I'm going to show you today can and will work together. Now, some of it needs a little bit of tweaking, but there are conversion books to show you how to do that, how to bring fantasy aspects into the Riffs. If you want to take some more superhero themed things into Riffs, you can do so. There are conversion books to do this. But just know, everything I'm going to show you today, completely compatible. But my favorite book out of the entire line of Palladium books is this, Riffs, Chaos Earth. This is the prequel to Riffs. This is you playing through the apocalypse. This is you playing through the end of days as we know them on Earth today. The cataclysms that happen, the crazy rift storms and portals that open, and the ley lines crossing the land, and magic being born, psionics having given birth in people's minds. All of that's in here, and it's my favorite way to play Riffs. I love playing characters, for the most part, that are just regular people making their way through the apocalypse. So Riffs, Chaos Earth, this is another great one you can start to pick up. If you more like the zombie type things and more modern day stuff, Dead Rain is for you. This is literally Walking Dead. This is completely what this is. But again, the zombies and everything in this book can be combined with other stuff. In fact, I've done it. I've added zombies to my games of Chaos Earth, because I want that feel. I want that sort of end of days kind of feel of endless hordes of zombies on top of everything else that's going on in the crazy world of Riffs. So Dead Rain, if you're looking for something that's very Walking Dead themed, or any of those types of things, the George Romero type zombie kind of stuff is all in here. Next up is a game that was introduced to me by Chuck Walton, who is an artist, the house artist for Palladium Books at this point in time. And this was a game that when I first met him at a convention, I said, hey, if I'm going to pick up something new from the line, something different that I've not experienced before, what is the one thing that you would suggest? And he said, Splicers. This is a game unlike any other game. And again, a lot of the stuff in here can be combined with the other stuff and vice versa. But Splicers is an interesting take. And I've used Splicers in some of my Chaos Earth games as well, as sort of an alternate reality. So Splicers is, if technology took over and infected every metal thing that we had on Earth, how do we survive? And the way that's done in Splicers is that we've created biotechnology. We've created suits of armor and weapons that are completely grown in vats out of biomaterial, living material. Be it plants or animals, the DNA from different living things were used to create armor and weapons for us to fight back against technology. It is a great concept. It's something we've seen done before in movies like Terminator and things like that, but has a very, very unique twist. So I would almost say if you're a fan of Terminator, or, and I'm going to reach back really far here, Guyver, right? Is that what it's called? Guyver, the crazy biosuit dude thing? This is completely that. It's a mixture of that and Terminator, basically. And there's some... This line is not as supported as I like it to be, as well as a lot of other people think the same thing. There is one source book for this, which is a series of connected adventures with a bunch of new rules and options and stuff for you to play. But Splicers, if you like something weird and twisted and kind of apocalyptic, Splicers is for you. Next, we move into superhero, right? Heroes Unlimited. Again, this is another huge one that put Palladium Books on the map. Heroes Unlimited has really stood the test of time. There are dozens of books for this line. This is straight up DC, Marvel, Image, all of those. It's all in here. What's really interesting is that I'm a huge Marvel fan. I love Marvel comics. The movies, the comics, I've been a reader forever. I've dabbled in some DC, I've dabbled in some Image and some of those other companies, but I always go make mine Marvel, right? That's my motto. I have taken characters, some of my favorite characters from the Marvel line, and tried to recreate them in Heroes Unlimited, and it's been super easy. There's everything in here, sort of every genre, every sort of theme of superhero you could ever want here in Heroes Unlimited. And like I said, there are dozens of books to support this line too. So if you like superheroes, this is the book for you. This is also, which is really cool, Jim Steranko did the cover for this, as well as the original one as well too. And if you don't know who Jim Steranko is, go Google him right now, and you'll be like, oh, I get it. So very cool, Heroes Unlimited. If you like your apocalypse mixed with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles after the bomb is for you. This is playing mutant animals during an apocalyptic time period. I've used these mutant animals in a variety of other things in my Riffs games. I've used them in Heroes Unlimited, which is completely compatible, by the way. If you want, there's some few mutant animals in Heroes Unlimited, and if you want to go that route, but if you want to make anything, any kind of possible animal you could even believe and think up, and a few in here that you probably don't even know about, After the Bomb is for you. And there's a few books that support this line as well too, but very, very cool if you like that sort of anthropomorphic animal superhero. Next up is a game that was actually one of the first games I played. Riffs definitely was the first, and quickly on its heels was Ninjas and Super Spies. And this is my original copy, by the way, from back in the day. Ninjas and Super Spies, I've used After the Bomb to make mutant animals that have different variety of martial art techniques. This book is amazing, and I knew when I first played it that it was amazing. But the more I grew in the hobby, the more I delved into Palladium Books, I realized just how genius and how amazingly deep this book is. So, written by Eric Wujcik, who unfortunately is no longer with us, but I do have a sort of homage video to him. If you want to go back in the catalog, there's a video where I talk about how I never had the pleasure of meeting Eric, but I feel like I still knew him through the games that he wrote. The research he did into the different martial art styles and different countries and the different sort of belief systems, and he placed it in Ninjas and Super Spies, is phenomenal. One of the best martial art games, in my honest opinion, on the market today, and has ever been. Like, there is so much depth and uniqueness to the different styles of martial arts, and some very rare, some very obscure martial arts fully detailed in here, which is amazing. You can also play Super Spies if you want to, but Ninjas and Super Spies, very, very close to my heart. Very cool game. Again, standalone, but mixes very well with all the other stuff. This was a game I picked up at Palladium Open House a few years ago, and again, at the behest of fans, when I said, "Hey, I want to try something new. I want to add to my Palladium collection," and I had never delved into this game at all until it was sort of explained to me and shown to me and laid out for me, and that's Beyond the Supernatural. This is a very sort of picture like Ghost Hunters meets Cthulhu. It's that type of thing. It's a sort of investigation between ghosts and crazy creatures from across the cosmos, or buried deep within the earth. It has a lot of feeling of like archaeology and stuff. What's really cool about this game, and what I really appreciate, the writing across all of the Palladium books is phenomenal. But what I really like is the continuity. Now, there's a lot of, I mean, with a company with as many games and supplements as Palladium Books, there will be some discrepancies, right? But I love the fact that reading through this, you get to meet some people, some companies, some organizations that influence what happens in Riffs later, thousands of years in the future. They're here. The beginnings of them, the seeds of them are here. That investigation that something's not right in the world, and we need to delve deeper into that knowledge. And whether or not that delving into that knowledge created the Rift's Earth as we know it, or had we delved deeper and thought harder and fought back stronger, had it maybe prevented what happens in Riffs. But I'm going to leave that for you to decide. But if you love like Cthulhu mystery, ghost hunting, bizarre stuff, Beyond the Supernatural. And finally, I'm sure I'm probably forgetting something. I just quickly grabbed these off of my shelf. But if you follow my channel at all, you know that I'm a huge fan of fantasy fiction, fantasy role-playing games. And this it's hard for me to weigh. It's hard for me to say if I prefer Riffs or this over one another, or if they're sort of equal in my eyes, because they're completely different, but again, compatible. The Palladium Fantasy role-playing game. This, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, it's pretty beat up. I've used this a lot. It's stained, it's crazy. And I have the previous editions as well, too. This is the second edition. This game just really evokes fantasy for me. It's the feeling of fantasy that I want. It's grittier, it's a little darker, it's a little bit more broad in its scope in things like magic. And again, if you've watched the channel, I love magic in games. I love to see how different games focus and wield and change and use magic. Palladium gives you a nice variety of stuff, as well as psionics and stuff too. If you want to play a mind mage using psionic abilities, it's in here as well. But if you want to summon demons, summoner. If you want to, if you want to be a witch and have sort of a patron behind you, there's that in here as well. If you want to study the arcane arts and delve into secrets and writings that possibly should not have been, it's all in here. As well as your traditional fantasy type things. Some crazy races, some different stuff. In another video, I talked about my all-time favorite book. And it's not really my favorite game in the series because it's a supplement. But my favorite book, because it was the very first Palladium's book that I owned, is Adventures in the Northern Wilderness. I don't have my copy in my hand right now, and I'm sorry. I might do a whole another video on just that again. I've talked about it before, but Adventures in the Northern Wilderness really focuses upon the sort of northern area of the Palladium world, and heavily upon the Wolfen Empire. And I was completely fascinated. And the reason was because of the cover art. It is the scene. I grew up in northern Michigan. I still live in northern Michigan. But where I grew up, the painting that is on that cover of Adventures in Northern Wilderness was a landscape that I had seen many times growing up. It was my backyard in northern Michigan, right? Complete with the wolf and sorcerer raising the zombies up out of the, skeletons up out of the swamp. But the landscape itself was amazing, and it really inured me into the art of Keith Parkinson, who again unfortunately is no longer with us. I was able to meet him one time at a convention at Gen Con, I believe. Super nice guy. I had him sign a print for me, and his type of art and the art on that cover of that book was just, it really pulled me in, and I said, I want to know more about this fantasy world, and I grew to love it. So Palladium Fantasy is really my go-to fantasy game. Like I said, D&D was closely followed by this kind of stuff. If you want to hear the whole story, go back and watch that. I have tons of videos that talk about my history into the role-playing game world, but I just wanted to give you a little peek into the world of Palladium Books. Don't listen to the naysayers out there, because the games are amazing. They're very rich. They're very deep. And they allow a lot for game master and player participation in the world, in that sort of melding and changing and fixing and building the world. Palladium Books gives you a lot of that, and they give you tons of very well written supplements and ideas and stuff that you can add. Next time, I think I'm going to delve a little bit deeper. I started this series once before, and unfortunately it kind of fell away. Was into the different world books for Riffs. And how you can expand, how you can take your basic game and expand it even further than the core book, which the core book will keep you busy for years, because it is chock full of amazing, amazing ideas. So thank you for tuning in, my friends. Until next time, stay safe, and as always, game on.